Tonight on Joy News Prime, Sanitation Minister speaks of plans to avert flooding this year.
The banning of plastics, etc., have been looked at. They have been looked at, and the plastic policy has been launched.
A former Works and Housing Minister is, however, challenging the minister's claims. Meanwhile, the majority leader says Parliament is considering banning the use of mobile phones by MPs when the House is in session. President Akufo-Addo urges Ghanaians to appreciate the construction of the National Cathedral. He says it's a pledge he made to God before he was elected in 2016. In business,
Bank of Ghana inaugurates National Payments Advisory Committee to fast-track efforts towards a cash-light economy.
As today marks another landmark in the journey to develop a safe, efficient, competitive and inclusive payment system for Ghana.
And we are in the Upper West regional town of Fluency to find out why singer Wiala is moving back home.
I promise and I pray that God, if you ever make me a superstar, I promise I'll also give back to whoever I can give back to. And my mother has always been telling me that when God bless you, you get this, you go here, blah, blah, blah. Please don't forget home, come back home.
I'm Israel Live. Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlimli here in Accra with digital address GA0992539, where we're celebrating 25 years of fearless journalism. Stay tuned in. Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa has told Parliament government is working to make Accra clean and avoid the perennial flooding that hits the city every rainy season. He says an inter-ministerial task force is working to provide the resources needed to desil the drains. She says bins are also being provided and new landfill sites are being established to help make the city and country clean.
Right, Honorable Speaker, that post has been found to be fake anyway, because people went there and the situation was not like that. Indeed, we all saw like plastics moving. That is debatable, because I called the expert, I was outside, I sent my office to check. Honorable Atache, Minister for Works and Housing, also was at the same scene yesterday. That's debatable. So at the end of the day, attitudinal change can also be affected by Mr. Speaker, I will crave your indulgence to say this, by honorable members to also lead in our constituencies. I want to put it on record that there are honorable members who have collaborated with the World Bank GOG project to provide as many as 300 household toilets in their constituencies here in Accra. Some have provided 50, some have also collaborated with environmental officers in their various constituencies to sensitize the people. The ministry alone cannot, and I can humbly say, cannot. It rests on all of us to make sure.
The question is on floating.
No,
plastics.
Mr. Speaker.
You are talking about floating plastics.
Yes.
Yes, not toilets and what you are saying.
Oh, he said, I went on to say make that statement because people mistakenly, I humbly also put it this way, think sanitation is about solid waste. Sanitation is not only about solid waste, it's about liquid waste, it's about medical waste, it's about all waste. But the plastics issue, I have said, Mr. Speaker, is under the ambit of the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. The banning of plastics, etc., have been looked at. They have been looked at, and the plastic policy has been launched. Accra, I must say, is a beautiful city. We have beautiful people in this beautiful city and capital. If we talk about filth can be found in places where waste has been neglected and not collected. But generally, I can say that Accra is clean.
Well, former Minister for Works and Housing, Samson, and he says nothing is happening and the city faces bigger risks of flooding.
In 2016 elections, in their manifesto, promised to make Accra clean, in fact, the cleanest in Africa within 100 days. And Ghanaians living in Accra are better judges. I'm sure if the minister had made this pronouncement in, say, Makola, they would have beaten her. She herself knows that so far as sanitation matters are concerned, they have failed miserably. And it's not for me to talk about it. The evidence is clear. Our gutters are choked. 3 days ago when it rained, we all saw what happened in our gutters. So we don't want the minister to come and stand here to tell us that they are on course. If they are on course, people living in Accra are better judges.
She, for example, makes the point that in collaboration with the Ministry of Works and Housing, they are undertaking the construction of drainage at the Malam Junction, Kaneshi First Light Bawi, all to reduce flooding and its negative impact on various communities when it rains eventually.
This is a project we started. We gave the contract to dredge masters at a cost of $54 million. They came and then terminated the contract. They stopped the contractor. Last year when it rains and the Accra got flooded, then the Minister for Works and Housing quickly reorganized, mobilized the contractor to site. They have not paid the contractor updates. So nothing is going on. Nothing is going on.
Minister for Special Development Initiatives, Hawa Kumsing, says at least 6.7 million Ghana cedis has been disbursed to all constituencies across the country under the $1 million One Constituency initiative. She says residents in beneficiary areas are benefiting from the investments and government is delivering on its promise. Responding to questions on the floor of Parliament, she cited Adaklu constituency, where she says 6.7 million cedis is being invested in 12 different projects, including an ambulance and toilets. She tells Joy News the investment is higher in other constituencies.
What of the other constituencies? Is it in that region? Is it less than that?
Yes, the other regions, even some have more, depending on their request, because some of the projects were done from the government priority area and others from the constituency. Now you heard me say Adaklu had ambulance. Other constituencies had ambulance, but there are other constituencies who also have warehouses, but Adaklu doesn't have the warehouse. Other constituencies have markets and other clinics, but Adaklu doesn't have that. So it depends on their request sometimes, their needs at the ground. Yeah.
So just to understand, Adaklu has received 6.7 million,
yeah,
but other constituencies have received more than the 6.7 million.
Yeah, some. When you look at the northern part, for instance, you know, they are having, how do you call it, dams. Some have also gotten warehouses, others have gotten clinic, and others to market. So when you bring all together, in fact, they are not uniform. Other close 6.7, other places maybe even 9 million, depending on the, because some of the government projects have been there. The warehouse is the government project. Ambulance is government projects. Market and clinics are government, but they are not the 275 projects. So sometimes they are about 50, and you have to share it among, and it is upon request that we give to.
So the least is probably the 6.7 that Adaklu has gotten. Some has gotten 9 million in others. The Adaklu MP is disputing some of the projects. He says some of them are not existent.
He said probably he himself was not very sure. That's why I showed the pictures of the toilet facility that I have, but I'll still call for the rest of the pictures for him to see. And if you heard me, I said at various stages of completion. It could be that some have just been started. So various stages of completion.
So 6.7 over 3 years, $1 million a year. That should be around 18 million. First year we didn't work.
No, first year we didn't work. I've explained this over and over again. The ministry was not in existence. The development authorities were not there. So we started everything in 2017. So our work started in 2018. It was in November that we passed the bill for the development authorities. And then they are sent to the bill January 2018, and the development authorities were appointed in May 2018 before they will set up their strategy. So all these projects, most of them were even done under the ministry because we didn't want to wait. By the 2017, first part of the 2018, we didn't work. It was later part of 2018 that we started the work.
And these projects, have they made any real impact in the lives of people?
Oh yes, they are. Because you see that Accra kept on repeating toilet facilities. The major issues in the constituencies are the toilet facilities, water systems, markets. These are the major issues in the constituencies. And my constituencies are about the drains and then the toilet facilities. Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So minority MPs, however, disputing the minister's claim.
When I asked about that 1 million per constituency, the answer I got was that they were using it to construct KVIP toilets. And in Bodi, I'm here to see a toilet which has been constructed and completed. They have not even completed one toilet in Bodi. So I don't know what she's talking about. And if you are talking about 1 million per constituency per year, we are talking about $3 million in 3 years. And if you multiply it by, assuming the exchange rate is even 5 cedis to the dollar, and it is times 5, we are talking about 15 million Ghana cedis. We are talking about 15 million Ghana cedis. And so if the minister says that Accra, as a district, has received 6 million plus, it means they have not, they have relented on their promise.
In fact, you make the point that that's the least of investments across the country within various constituencies. Some have gotten up to $9 million in investment. For you, boy, they hasn't gotten that much.
That tells you that she is lying. Because the promise was 1 million per constituency. So why is she talking about the fact that some districts have gotten more than others? What is the criteria did they use in disbursing that money? That tells you she's lying.
If you are a contractor and then you have the means, the resources, why wouldn't you do your work, raise the certificate and go for the money?
So the drainage program, the drainage project in your constituencies under 1 million one constituency, it affected that?
Yes, it affected.
Apart from that?
It affected because there was a drainage project at Manso. The main drainage there was a suspension bridge at Dumbanso that was not done because of this thing that I'm talking about. Okay. There was a pedestrian culvert bridge at Impoho, and also there is various culvert bridges from Kromante, from Manso, Kromante, and Inasie, that stretch, as well as some drainage system at Bob. All these were projects that the contractors had signed the contract, but had to abandon it because of financial consideration. And now the whole thing had been repackaged, and then new contractors are going on site. And I know that they will have the capacity to do it.
Still in Parliament, Majority Leader Chairman Sabotage is cautioning MPs to desist from using mobile phones on the floor. It says it's distractive to the business of the House, and Parliament's new standing orders will ensure MPs don't use phones.
Mr. Speaker, I believe the House must make a determination on this. And let me emphasize, it's the reason why it's being proposed that in the next Parliament, in fact, once we accept and indeed adopt the reviewed standing orders, no member will be allowed to bring a cell phone into this chamber. We need to demonstrate seriousness in this House. We need to. When the President of the Republic is talking, members are fidgeting with their phones. When the Minister responsible for finance comes here, members are fidgeting with their phones. When questions are asked, ministers are providing answers, members are fidgeting with their phones. It doesn't tell a good story about us. Mr. Speaker, let's be very honest with ourselves. Mr. Speaker, the Parliament of Ghana is not the only parliament in the world. The Parliament of Ghana is not the only parliament in the world. And there are established parliaments in the world who do not allow members to come to Parliament with their cell phones. That should be the order. Mr. Speaker, we shall apply this religiously once we adopt the new standing orders. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Okujeto is asking questions about why we are shifting questions and reprogramming them to the ensuing week. Mr. Speaker, when we were debating the President's message on the state of the nation, we decided to allow space for the debate and also to be able to complete the bill that we had.
The suggestion has drawn varied reactions. Whilst Bodi MP Samsung, and he says it's out of place, Impoho MP Alex Ejakuma agrees.
I think it's a suggestion, but it will remain his suggestion, because I don't believe that what he's talking about, members of parliament will agree to him. He himself, on several occasions, he's been receiving calls and making calls when he's in the chamber. I think somebody should remind him that we are not school children. We are not children. And so some of these things, he should be very careful making some of these pronouncements. The fact that he's a majority leader does not mean that he's a headmaster somewhere and we are school children where he can dictate to us. I'm not sure his proposal will see the light of the day.
A leader saying that come 8th Parliament, these things will be in place. I don't see it as something that is going to be an infringement on the rights of members of Parliament. I don't.
Break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead, we are in the Upper West Region town of Fulani to find out why singer Wiala is moving back home.
I promise and I pray that, God, if you ever make me a superstar, I promise I'll also give back to whoever I can give back to. And my mother has always been telling me that when God bless you, you get this, you go here, blah, blah, blah. Please don't forget home, come back home.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit. President Akufo-Addo is urging Ghanaians to appreciate the construction of the National Cathedral, which he says is in fulfillment of a pledge he made to God prior to his election. Speaking at a groundbreaking ceremony, he stated a recent unanimous dismissal of a case challenging the constitutionality of the project by the Supreme Court only goes to affirm why it is needed. General Overseer of the Christian Action Faith Ministry also urged originators not to be discouraged, as such projects are bound to face resistance. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
The sound of a trumpet after the symbolic foundation stone was laid by President Akufo-Addo. Members of the diplomatic corps, the clergy, and notable state officials like the Chief of Staff, the Senior Minister, were all present. Vice President Mahmoud Baumia was also there with his wife. Speaking at the event, President Akufo-Addo stated, the construction of the cathedral is the fulfillment of a promise he made to God prior to the 2016 election.
I made a pledge to Almighty God that if He was gracious enough to grant my party, the New Patriotic Party and I, victory in the 2016 election, after 2 unsuccessful attempts, I would help build a cathedral to His glory and honor. I am determined to redeem this pledge. The reasons for my decision to mobilize support for the construction of the National Cathedral still hold. Firstly, since gaining our freedom and independence from the British colonial power 63 years ago tomorrow, on 6th March 1957, Ghana has so far been spared civil war, famine, and epidemics. We're certainly no better than the other nations in our neighborhood who have been confronted with these challenges. But I believe it is by the grace of God that we are being preserved and sustained.
General Overseer of the Action Chapel International Ministry, Archbishop Duncan Williams, says projects like the National Cathedral are bound to face criticism and resistance, but that should not discourage the initiators.
It has everything to do with generations yet unborn. Will always create the kinds of controversy and the kinds of resistance and opposition we are facing, not just about the National Cathedral, but anything new, anything that has never been done before, anything that men cannot comprehend, appreciate, and understand, we always react to it. But let me say to the chairman and to all the members of the trustees, let us not allow the opposition, the controversy, the misrepresentation, the criticisms to in any way discourage us. Let our hands be strengthened, and let us do this even if we are misrepresented and misunderstood for posterity. And let posterity determine and judge us whether we were right or wrong.
President of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach, Dr. Lawrence Tete, has been raising concerns about persons who criticize the demolition of structures on the land to be used for the construction of the cathedral.
If it comes to National Cathedral, it should be devoid of political colors. As a matter of fact, this monument for me is for God and not for NDC, not for MPP. This is the time that we should come together in a massive united front to think about how we can protect and preserve the Christian heritage. People have asked us, why are we breaking buildings? In fact, if you can break the whole of Accra and use it to build a house for God, it's not about Nanado, it's not about John Mahama, it's not about anybody, it's about God.
So you think it wouldn't be a misplaced priority to even break all the buildings in Accra to put up a National Cathedral?
Oh, I will not mince my words. That let's break the whole of Ghana and build it into a church, and that will be a place of peace. As a matter of fact, if you want peace, cohesion and unity, what will bring us together is the church.
What do you make of assertions out there that the resources that are going to be used to construct this cathedral, the money and everything, could be used to, there are a lot of schools under trees, there are a lot of communities without water, potable drinking water and all of that, hospitals without beds and all of that. What do you make of these suggestions?
Let me say this again. When it comes to National Cathedral and building for God, I will not politicize anything. The poor will always have. The people will always be in need. But as we build this thing, it will even be a safe haven for us to come together. It is in unity that lies power.
Well, 37-year-old Dennis Hayimbela was heading to Bolgatanga on a normal day for the burial of his father. But a crash midway robbed him of the opportunity to say his final goodbye. It also robbed him of his joy, as a spinal injury has made him lose the ability to control his discharge of urine and feces. Maxwell Agwagwa has more in this story for our Arrive Alive campaign to minimize accidents on Ghana's roads.
I am in Dennis's room. His sister Gloria is trying to get him in a reclining position for this interview, but the pain is simply unbearable. A tube-like device that stores his urine lies on the floor close to him. He sits to narrate to me how a speeding driver truncated his aspirations in his final year of studies to become a medical practitioner.
The police report that I managed to get, when you read the police report, they were saying that the driver of the trailer was the one who caused the accident because he was overspeeding and then was sleeping at the same time. Some of the people got trapped in the bus, so they were trying to chisel and be able to get some out, though they were even dead. And in the process of doing, the bus caught fire. And Ben, our driver, is missing other people to ashes, living with only their schools.
He sustained a spinal injury which affected his ability to control urine flow and excreta.
I can't control. Yeah, I can't control it. That's why the urine bag is connected. The better way to be able to control, there's something that if I feel like urinating, I'll just take it in, put in and urinate. Yeah.
So now you don't feel anything?
I don't feel my lower limbs, I don't feel anything. It just comes by it all. You just can't buy it. The same thing to when I'm going on private, it comes just like that. But so as I sit, I have to be checking myself and all that. I've been confined to one place. Even as I talk to you now, I have vision problems. You can imagine somebody just lying at one place for 10 years, 10 years. Even as I'm talking to you, I can't see you clearly. I have vision problems now. I'm even losing my sight gradually. My life is going waste. My life is going waste. And at this my age, I still have a long way to go in life. So I'm really appealing to the general public, appealing to Ghanaians, and even the rest of the world, that anybody who watches me should please come to my aid. Please come to my aid.
His 25-year-old sister, Gloria Labrob, says she had to drop out of school to take care of her brother who used to fund her education.
To take care of him. If he want water, I'm the one who remove and give it to him. He cannot do anything. Because of that, I'm not going anywhere. Just sitting at home. I'm not doing anything. My colleagues are finished school, some are working. Look at me. Now I'm in the house. I'm not doing anything.
A pastor at the Divine Faith Ministries, Reverend George Carty, has been trying to get support for Dennis.
I know him from but when I saw him, honestly, his story really moved me. So I continued to intercede on his behalf, prayer day in, day out. He can't do anything for the past 10 years. He's just confined to one place. He cannot do anything. We know God is able to do all, but he needs medical attention, financial assistance. He needs financial support. So anybody watching, anywhere you are watching from, he needs financial support.
We're taking a break here. On Join This Prime, we'll bring you business news next. It's time for business. Sandra is here. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Adriel. How are you doing? Tomorrow is a holiday, Independence Day.
Independence Day, yeah.
Yeah, and that story about the Arrive Alive campaign.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite touching.
They're quite touching. And I'm hoping that he's going to get some support from people who watch this story. Yeah.
You can support him. But
Sure.
time to do business now.
Please.
Celebrating 25 years of joy, my name is Sandra Sinamap and I'm here for business. The Bank of Ghana is taking steps to fast-track the country's quest to go cashless and improve payment systems in the country. Earlier today, the central bank launched the National Payments and Advisory Committee towards achieving this goal. George Yafe has more in the following report.
The inauguration of the committee is part of efforts by the Bank of Ghana to put in place the right structures and policies towards a cashless economy. The committee membership is drawn from banks, fintechs, and persons working in the legal sector. They are expected to advise the Bank of Ghana on regulations, oversight of payment systems, and any other matters affecting payment services in the country. Inaugurating the committee, Governor of the Bank of Ghana was excited that this could go a long way to help improve the current structures and systems towards a cashless economy.
And for us, today marks another landmark in the journey to develop a safe, efficient, competitive, and inclusive payment system for Ghana. Over the past 2 decades, the Ghana payment system infrastructure has recorded rapid transformation supported by digitization. To recap, the evolution of the payment system started with the establishment of the real-time gross settlement system, the automated clearinghouse, the check code line clearing and truncation system, the national e-switch and smart card projects.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecoms Chamber, Ken Ashibe, who is also a member of the committee, expressed the commitment of telecom companies in helping move towards a cashless society.
reach the last particular person. By the very nature of the way telecommunication is structured, we touch everybody. And so how do we empower people? How do you make it easy for people to be able to do payments, to be able to live their lives? So for us, it's not just an issue of payment, but it's actually enabling people to live their lives, enabling people to play, enabling people to learn, enabling people to work. All of that is what we're going to factor in. So you're definitely going to see an acceleration of the pace, and if we continue from the way we have continued, then definitely we're going to really make a lot more moves. And definitely, if you look at the growth patterns, we are even beginning to surpass in terms of growth rates, surpass the Kenyans who started it. So all we need to do is to be able to get everybody together, because this is one particular thing where you need all industries working together. Because if you get your payment systems well, and then your education policies do not support that, your agri policies do not support that, it really will not work. So it's good that around in this committee we have everybody in. The fintechs are in, the banks are in, even industry is in. It's in.
But in terms of other members of the committee include Samson Agliko of the Ministry of Finance, Achi Hesi of the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems, and Samuel Sapon, who is a member of the Ghana Association of Bankers.
The Africa Development Bank says a $600 million loan facility for Cocoa Board is in the final stages of approval. The multi-million-dollar agreement is a milestone for the bank-convened African Investment Forum dedicated to transforming the continent's investment and development agenda. Speaking to Joy Business after a high delegation of the bank paid a visit to the management of Cocoa Board, Dean of Executive Directors of AFDB, Bright Okugu, says the facility will hit the central bank's account in the coming month. We have more in the following report by Charles Aite.
The high-powered meeting between directors of the Africa Development Bank, AFDB, and management of Ghana Cocoa Board saw both entities commit to providing sufficient funding to entrepreneurs in the cocoa value chain to advance processing of cocoa. Dean of Executive Directors of AFDB, Bright Okugu, explained this initiative, among other interventions, will be captured in the soon-to-be disbursed $600 million syndicated loan.
The facility of $600 million, yes, is one of those that, in terms of the engagement with the African Development Bank, there are processes you go through before the releases, and I believe that very, very shortly the processes will be completed on both sides, and whatever releases are going to be done will be done after that. When those processes are completed, the monies are released, and these processes, they depend on both sides. But I'm optimistic that it's not a long period of wait.
Meanwhile, Public Affairs Manager of Cocoa Board, Mr. Fifi Boafo, has been outlining priorities of the Cocoa Board this year. According to him, funding and support for entrepreneurs to go into processing of cocoa, as well as expansion of Ghana's cocoa market, are key.
The Chief Executive has indicated that it will be the wish of Cocoa Board and government and Ghana as a country to get funding and support for entrepreneurs at different levels to go into processing and then also to go into artisanal chocolate manufacturing in our country.
Cocoa Board will use the facility to raise cocoa yields per hectare and increase Ghana's overall production. These include financial interventions to sustainably increase cocoa plant fertility, improving irrigation systems, rehabilitating aged and diseased infected farms. The funds will also help increase warehouse capacity and provide support to local cocoa processing companies. Ghana's cocoa sector employs some 800,000 rural families and produces crops worth $2 billion in foreign exchange annually.
Deputy Minister of Finance, Kweku Kwarteng, has rejected reports the implementation of the new port management system, UNIPAS, will lead to an increase in fees and charges at the port. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders and other operators at the ports have been alarmed over a likely increase in the cost of clearing goods following the implementation of the new UNIPAS system. But Deputy Minister of Finance, Kweku Kwarteng, disagrees.
I have read the concerns by Imani and other commentators. What I would say, and I speak as respectfully as I can, is that their grasp of the facts is inadequate. We do not think that we are going to have to pay any judgment debts. we understand very well the contracts governing the outgoing, the services by the outgoing vendors. We are taking steps to ensure that we will deploy this new system lawfully and that there would not be any unplanned cost on the budget. You would have noted that we use system user fees at the ports to pay the vendors. We are still going to operate within what is currently being paid. No fees will be increased, and we will still be able to pay for the new system, whilst at the same time having an arrangement that is fair to the outgoing vendors. I do not call that judgment that there will not be any additional cost beyond what users of the ports pay by way of user fees. That is what I can say, and I can allay the fears of the public that this system is helpful. The cost we are going to pay is fair and legitimate, and overall, we will even make savings at the ports.
Is it not going to be like compensation to them, like GCNet and then the West Blue?
I don't want to go into the details. What I can say is that the integration of the various systems at the ports right now will in itself yield savings. By doing away with the outgoing vendors and having a single vendor, that in itself would make savings. Out of that savings, we would address the contractual issues that would arise as a result of this new deployment. But we have done the numbers, and we are confident that ultimately we would not have to pay any other monies to the outgoing vendors or to the incoming vendors beyond what users of the port are contributing now by way of processing fees.
Are we looking at job losses here, or it's not going to affect job losses?
Ultimately, it will lead to job losses because the improved activity at the port would help trade, it would help the economy, and it will lead to increased jobs. What we are having there at the moment, the existence of multiplicity of vendors, the overlaps, and the inefficiencies do not lead to economic growth. Ultimately, if we did not do anything about the current situation, we were going to lose jobs. And I am happy at the new policy. I'm confident that it is what Ghana needs right now.
I'm taking a break for now, but do stay tuned because I'll be back after 8 p.m. with more business news. My name is Sandra Esenamapen. Thanks for watching.
She calls herself the Lioness of Africa and has toured the world performing on some of the most prized stages in Europe. The Upper West region-born Afropop singer Weyala has now braved the odds, relocating from Accra, the national capital, to live in the village where she grew up, Funti, in the Wild West district. The 34-year-old already has a street named after her there and is building a cultural theatre and training the village's next generation to sing and dance. Joining us is Justice Babe, who traveled 850 kilometers to Funti to meet her.
Weyala is a young, energetic, ambitious, determined, forward-moving, positive young woman.
A rendition of her 2014 classic Tinambayi. This is Weyala, born as Noella Weyala. Her name is a Sisala word that translates to the doer. After traveling the world, sharing stages with Grammy Award winners, she's back to her native Funse, giving a meaning to her name, putting her hometown on the world map.
I have promised and I pray that, God, if you ever make me a superstar, I promise I'll also give back to whoever I can give back to. And my mother has always been telling me that when God bless you, you get this, you go here, blah, blah, blah. Please don't forget home, come back home. So I'm back home to share my talent, share the gift God has given me. I believe my talent is a gift. And if I don't share it in a positive way, I think God will take it from me.
It's only been a month since Wayala moved back home and already has young people here coming to her to learn how to dance and to sing.
I like Wayala when she's always on the stage performing and when she's always around the world calling Fluency, Fluency. I am so very happy.
I joined this group to learn how to dance and how to sing.
Growing up in Fluency, there was no electricity until 2012. Then, I'll say I spent my teenage years here. Fluency is a small town which consists about maybe 1,500 people. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will get there.
This woman wants to win a Grammy one day, and that may take her far and near. But Fluency, the town after her heart, she says, would always be home. Justice Bedu, Joy News in Wayala's Fluency.
Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we are there.
The Fulani community in Ghana is seeking justice for 26 herdsmen who were killed across the country since August 2019. According to them, 600 cattle were butchered within the same period. They have been telling Joy News all attempts to get justice has not yielded positive results. Ahmed Barry is a public relations officer for the group.
What I saw so far, about 5 or 6 incidences. One is Bagurugu. Bagurugu issue, what happened was that a farmer claimed that cattle came to destroy his farm. When we got there the next day morning, it was only one cow foot that we saw in the farm. Only one that went to destroy his farm. And then he went and mobilized the whole youth and came and vandalized 65 homes in Bagurugu. We went there, we saw smokes were still, burning in the rooms. Animals were still burnt down. People, over 200 people, farm children, and all their birth certificates, health insurance, everything has been burnt to ashes. That is what we saw. And I have seen this myself. That's one. Secondly, there's a child who was, murdered recently in water, one farmer. We went there, this boy was still lying down in the water lake. I mean, it's so pathetic. We have to go there with the police, bring out the body, bring doctors to come and do postmortem for him to be released to us so that we can bury him. Because it's after 3 days. We saw this also. There are incidents that happened in Kintampoka, Wampe area where we went. We saw about 4 Fulanis lying down dead. Animals did not destroy anybody's farm. Why should this be happening? We tell the police will say they will do investigation, and even some of the Fulanis do identify the people, but police doesn't do any arrest. As I'm talking to you now, the people in Bagurugu are still walking free. None of them has been arrested. And the whole 65 homes that was burnt, it was organized by over 100 youth. And those who led to the attack, they are still walking free. None of them have been arrested, not even a single day. The Northern Regional Police Command has, done nothing till now. And the government hasn't gone to their aid. They are still lying down openly since August till date, and the people are still lying down.
President of the Council of the Fulani Chiefs, Alhaji Drisu Bingo, is appealing to government to intervene.
Somebody provoke you, do kill him. Even if somebody destroy your property, do you intend kill him? The only thing is that you report the person to the authorities for the law to take its course. People don't have to take the laws into their hand and do whatever they feel they will do and go scot-free. You understand? If you have a farm, and I also have a cattle, I'm a herdsman roaming in the bush, looking for food for my animal, and unfortunately my animal go astray and entered into your farm, what you have to do is to report to me to the authorities, and then I will be brought to book for what I have done. But if you take a gun and you start killing my animals, you see that you are also doing something against the law. So if I'm also armed and I'm standing, do you think I will stand aloof to look at you doing what you want to do? You see? So we are just bringing all this to the notices of the leadership of this country so that they will find a way, you understand, to bring us all together and see what best can be done to avoid all this.
Mr. Bingle says timely intervention will calm the tension that is building up among the Fulani.
We are calming them down. That's why we have to do this press conference, to invite them to come and for them to come and see what we are doing, so that if you tell them that please wait, then they will also, hear or listen to us, because after all, they've seen that no, we are doing something. We are sending message to the whole nobody than the first gentleman of the country. You get the point. So by so doing, we are also calming them down, because after all, if you don't do this and you tell them please, please, and you don't do anything for them to see, maybe they can go out of control. I'm here in Accra. Look at our front place, so many miles away. Look at Bogurugu in the northern region. If they go out of their way to do something, how can I stop them? So it's by all means, this means that we'll be able to bring them down so that they don't go to do something uncalled for. We are peace-loving people. We want to maintain peace and order. And so we are always talking to our people to take it cool, to take it whatever happens.
Commuters and motorists between Ejisu and Donaso who have been counting on the completion of a new bridge to facilitate easy movement would have to wait a lot longer. This is because thieves have stolen controller boards, injectors and pumps of 3 excavators. 3 bridges linking Ejisu to Donaso and other towns have been broken down for over 2 years. Motorists and commuters have therefore had to truncate their journey on one side of the collapsed bridges and continue in another vehicle on the other.
After persistent agitation by residents of communities in the enclave, reconstruction of the bridges began about a year ago. Work was scheduled to have been completed and the road reopened to traffic, but the disappearance of Excavator Pass means further delay. As police begin investigations into the incident, MPP youth in the area say they suspect sabotage. Organizer Henry Diabuate says they are working with the police to identify the perpetrators and bring them to book. It comes as police have picked up a security guard for questioning.
And there were a whole lot of insults at the presidency, at the member of parliament, especially the member of parliament being at the road ministry. And presidency heard our voices. And then the road was given to a contractor. Kofi Job came to site, did everything he could. We now have just 3 days for him to finish filling the approaches and everything, only for us to hear that some bad nuts in the system have stolen some of the parts of the excavators they are using. It's very pathetic.
What are these parts?
Okay, I heard, since I'm not a technocrat myself, I heard parts like the control board and the pump. And everybody knows that these are the major parts of the excavator.
And how many of them?
3 excavators as we speak. And this has brought the work to a standstill. Police, we know there are some saboteurs. There are people who don't want the government to progress. There are people who always want the name of the member of parliament to be insulted. There are people who think the downfall of the member of parliament will help them progress. This wouldn't work. We are signing a word of caution to those people that the people of Ejisu constituency, we need the bridge badly. And for that matter, the perpetrators, they should put a stop to it. We are appealing to the contractor to come to our aid.
Cyber analyst with E-Crime Bureau, Joseph Quay, says the absence of website supervision is contributing to website cloning and internet scams. This follows a fake online publication attributed to Joy News, where host of The Pulse, Gifty Ando-Apia, is said to have conducted an interview with music maestro Kojo Entry, encouraging viewers to invest in Bitcoin. We'll hear from the cyber analyst shortly, but first here is musician Kojo Entry, the alleged interviewee in the publication, debunking the claims as reported by the fake website.
It's been circulating on social media. My team, my management, we came out with a disclaimer because no such interview ever took place. And everyone knows that if I speak to anybody, it will be about entertainment. Yes, once in a while you drift off to talk about coronavirus and all that, but everything I do is centered on music. So there has never been an interview on Bitcoin. And that I had, no, nothing like that happened. I believe there are some scammers who are trying to. So people should disregard that information circulating on social media, Facebook and all those other platforms. It never happened. I have never granted any interview. I've never said anything about Bitcoin, and I don't know anything about Bitcoin. Yeah, I will not encourage that because, it's just fake news.
Now, cyber analyst with E-Crime Bureau Joseph Quay has expressed worry at the trend. He is cautioning organizations to have a digital presence, as that is one of the key ways to check spread of fake news, especially as fake news is expected to be on the rise in an election year.
I think one word I'll use to describe it is opportunistic. The way the whole thing was set up, they took advantage of a situation that was already there.
Okay, which situation was this?
In this situation, what I mean by that is, we have a lot of websites in Ghana from news media agencies and several bodies.
Yeah.
But you see, no one really checks the digital space. Okay. So there are so many websites and legitimate companies that have, duplicates of them online, right? And different names or sometimes similar names. So if I were to say a company that is called maybe GhanaBrokers.com, someone has probably gone to register Ghana Brokers and then has added another S and has populated the website with the same content as the legitimate one.
Okay.
Good. So because no one checks the digital space for some of these things, I think that's the opportunity that the criminals saw as a chance to, perpetrate this particular kind of activity. At the end of the day, I think what I would say is basically iterating on what I've said to this point. At the end of the day, you can't really trust information just as face value. You can't trust, at least to some certain of degree, some sources that you trust. But for some news items that seem a bit out of the blue, that doesn't, especially the person saying it's not what they typically say. I think it calls for verification, and it doesn't help, it doesn't harm to go and then Google or ask for other users what they think about it in regards to these things.
Now, if you need to reach all emergency centers in the country, the number to call is 112. With emergency call centers inundated with prank calls, the head of sustainability and partnership at the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication, GIFEC, Madam Abna Nyamesem, appealed to the conscience of perpetrators to desist from the act, as it could potentially cause people in real need of emergency services to miss out. The Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications has partnered the multimedia group to publicize the new emergency number.
Currently, emergency services in Ghana have different numbers: 191 for police, 193 for ambulance, and 192 for fire. 112, according to Head of Sustainability and Partnership at GIFEC, Abna Nyamesem, is expected to replace these numbers to become the central control port of call when in need of an emergency.
We've come into partnership with Multimedia Group because you have solidified network, you have wide network, being it Accra speaking station, English speaking station throughout the country. So we believe that you are the right network to work with to drum home the message of emergency and also ensure that the populace are well informed about 112 and all the issues that come with emergency services.
I also realize you are concerned about prank calls.
Yes, prank calls is a major part of the 112 that we are seeking to let the people know that if you do not have emergency, don't call. Because if you do call, people in real emergencies may not have access to these numbers.
Jesse Amwa Japon, who was with the GIFEC team that visited the multimedia office Wednesday morning, explained how 112 will replace existing emergency numbers.
The existing numbers would eventually be phased off. So if you need to reach the Ghana Police Service, you would call 112. If you need to reach Fire Service, you call 112. If you need to reach the NADMO office, you call 112. If you need to call the ambulance service, you call 112. That's not to say that the existing numbers have all been shut down. We do understand that people will go through a transitionary process. And that's why the partnership with the media is quite great. So for someone who has any pre-existing number saved on their phone, the new number to save on your phone now is 112. It's all part of the agenda of the country to ensure that every Ghanaian, be it a child or an adult, understands that in times of emergency, you call 112.
So the phase out, how soon are we expecting that to happen?
I think that the mandate that has been given from the security perspective is to ensure that the phase out is completed by May this year.
Head of Joy Cluster, Emma Morrison, welcomed the partnership with a promise to propagate the emergency number with a sense of urgency.
Arrive Alive is a very important project to us, and this would also help to sort of like complement it as well. So we'll push, and I'm happy that we've spoken about the prank calls because a lot of education has to go into it, both in the English language and also Akan, because Akan platforms are also key platforms that we run. So the language is important as well, and as well as the messaging. Yes, we're going to support this with all our might. You know, we're excited by it. It's a very important project. And then if anything else comes out that we see some synergies with, would like to sort of also throw that in.
If you are used to 191, 192, and 193, get ready for a permanent switch to 112.
Thank you.
Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Right Honourable Dr. Christopher Keith Rowley, says his country will learn and develop the agriculture sector following the Ghana method. He said that Caribbeans and have common species with Ghana, but Ghana seems to have improved over the years.
The Right Honourable Dr. Christopher Keith said Ghana has distinguished herself in agriculture and has done extremely well in food security. He announced this collaboration when he visited the Ochihini Osajifo Amwetia of Repeni at Chebi in the Eastern region. He is in Ghana in the company of his advisor on agriculture, wife and other members of his government to grace Ghana's Independence Day celebration slated for 6 March 2020. Dr. Christopher hinted his country will seek technical assistance from Ghana to maximize productivity in the Caribbean and also ensure food security on the African continent.
In agriculture, we as a Caribbean nation had experienced the production of species that you have here in Africa, which you have commonplace here in Ghana. And the food security that you enjoy, we too would like to continue to enjoy that. We have lost some of those species, and I have brought with me my advisor in agriculture, and we are setting the stage to obtain from you significant planting material to restart our agriculture in the production of ground provisions. We look forward to the technical assistance, and we look forward to feeding ourselves in Trinidad on that beautiful white Ghanaian yam that you serve us whenever we're here. To combining in diplomacy, encouraging Trinidad and Tobago and the CARICOM to stand with and speak with the AU, because the OAU represents all our people, and as we come together, we are stronger and better for it.
Osagyefo Amotio Fropenyin commended the Caribbeans for making education free in their country up to the tertiary level. He said Ghana is emulating the free education strategy of Trinidad and Tobago. Osagyefo Amotio Fropenyin called on African leaders to come together and fight poverty in the African continent.
Poverty, Mr. Prime Minister, is evil. Poverty is sinful. But surprisingly, God blessed this continent. Diverse abundance. There's nothing that Africa does not have. It is therefore paradoxical that we've managed to make poverty's headquarters in Africa. Talking about sustainable development. I wonder, how long is it going to take? We keep doing this, it'll come to a time where sustainable development will no longer be an issue. Sustainable living will be critical for mankind. And therefore, for those who may think that climate change is a hoax, as you said, we need to be careful. We have seen it with our own eyes. We have seen big countries suffer.
There was a Durbar of chiefs and people of Achim Ebuakwa in honor of Dr. Christopher Kurt Rowley. The Ochihene conferred on him an honorary stool with the title Ochiman Abodiehene Baruma Kojo Efriye. Maxwell Kudeko report from Chebi.
More business news. Rating agency Moody's has disclosed that any upgrade of Ghana's credit worthiness would be based on improving debt levels and revenue position. Coming up is Moody's latest annual credit report on Ghana.
Moody's in its annual report argued that this review from B3 to B2 when it comes to Ghana's credit ratings would be guided by government's commitment to reducing its debt to an appreciable level. Moody's also argues that improved revenue collections going forward could possibly impact on the credit ratings upgrade that is from B3 to B2. According to the Bank of Ghana, the country's total debt stock stands at 215 billion cedis ending November 2019. Moody's was, however, quick to add that the country could still be kept at B3 status if they are not convinced that government is not taking steps to improve its rising debt levels. Moody's recently reviewed the country's credit ratings outlook from negative to positive. This, Moody's argues, was based on the rising confidence in the country's institutions as well as fiscal stability recorded over the years and how government has managed the economy post the IMF program. For some, an improved credit rating would impact positively on cost of borrowing as well as prevent government from introducing new taxes or hike rates to deal with these challenges. According to the 2020 budget, government is also planning to set aside some 20 billion cedis for interest payments.
During the 2020 State of the Nation address, President Akufo-Addo stated customers of savings and loans and microfinance institutions will begin receiving payments totaling 5 billion cedis. The most asked questions after this announcement was, how about customers of the fund management companies? How will they be made whole, and why are payments to the savings and loans and microfinance companies seemingly moving faster at a faster pace than the fund management companies? Philip Namfuri caught up with the Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Paul Abebio, for some answers.
I think it's important for the public to understand the kinds of powers that the SEC has in these circumstances. So our powers involve the revocation. We can apply for liquidation, which is what we have done. Whereas if you compare the Bank of Ghana's powers, they can actually appoint a receiver. They can even appoint a liquidator. So for them, that process, they take possession of the assets right away. We are yet to take possession of the assets. And it wouldn't be us taking possession. It would actually be the liquidator, the official liquidator, taking possession of the assets and liquidating the business. So from that perspective, our process requires us to go to court to get the court's approval for that. And obviously that also comes with preparing the legal dossier, getting 7 notice to the people who who are heading these firms, and for them also responding to some of these things. But all said and done, I think you have to look at the timing. When BOG revoked, and then the sequencing, the receiving of the claims, the validation process, and then the payments. And even the government also has to make funds available, and that's a critical element to it. Government has to determine what form the payments will also take. And so that work is necessary, and you cannot belittle the kind of effort that has to go into that exercise. So that's where we are in the process. We are a different kind of regulator compared to the Bank of Ghana. We're still in the financial services, but our clients invest in a broad range of assets, which have a wider range of risks compared to the banking sector, where they do mostly loans. So that needs to be appreciated as such as well. So that said, I think our processes are on par, and we're being as proactive as we can.
Catch more of this on the business edition of PM Express on the Joy News channel at 9 p.m. with Philip Namfuri. We're also live on channel 421 on DSTV. In other news tonight, state institutions are being urged to engage and harness talent of more women at the workplace to close gender gaps. Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Ajiman Bedu, made a call when he spoke to Joy Business at the 9th Quadrennial Congress of the Power Queens Club of the Electricity Company of Ghana. That's more in the following report.
Under the theme Harnessing Talents to Increase Productivity in Building a World-Class ECG, the Role of the Queen, the Congress by the Queen's Club of the Electricity Company of Ghana highlighted the need for gender equality at the workplace, as well as the involvement of women in top management roles through capacity building. Speaking to Joy Business, the managing director of the ECG said the issue of gender parity should be a matter of priority to all state institutions.
It's very important that we embrace our women to the workforce, especially when it comes to government. Women play a vital role when it comes to development and performance. So in my personal view, I think we should embrace women. As we do right now, the GSI that we have in our company, we are trying to enhance the involvement of women just to let them know that they are part of the building of the company. So we encourage them in capacity building, learning other trades, upgrading themselves so that they can take key positions in the company. And to the government, I think a similar thing should happen to the government too.
President of the Power Queens Club of the ECG, Rosemont Asamoah Frimpong, added that women have a critical role to play in the development of the state power distributor.
Tools such as recently launched app ECG Power would go a long way to bring smiles to the faces of our cherished customers. The Customer Management System, the CMS, is also a holistic system that will assist us to improve upon our service delivery. Again, our talents as women could be utilized here. The app should be our baby. We should learn and teach and educate customers with ease. Harness talents through systematic approach will increase productivity of each employee that can radically transform ECG's income and market share.
Guest speaker and board member of the ECG, Madam Martha Opare, also encouraged more capacity building as she urged the involvement of more women at the top level.
Members of the Power Queens Club must therefore develop themselves to be ready for higher positions. According to Trudy Bourgeois, optimizing the contribution of female leaders requires clearly identifying and addressing the many barriers to our success. Actively identifying women as a strategic resource for growing the business and holding senior leaders, starting with our MD, accountable for talent management.
For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
A plot by Ghana Links Network Services to get $92.97 million compensation for judgment debt has been uncovered. Details in the business news summaries.
Ghana Links Network Services plot to get a whooping $92.97 million compensation of judgment debt from the government using taxpayers' money has been uncovered. Government will have to cough up $92.97 million as compensation if the Unipass contract is terminated in the first year of its implementation. Passenger services on the Takoradi to Takwa railway lines in the western region may be delayed for possibly 6 weeks. This is to enable engineers add new variations to accommodate the construction of the new standard gauge line from Kojokrom to Manso as part of rehabilitation of the western rail line. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is appealing with banks to find a way of alleviating the plight of those who may have borrowed money from them following the spread of the novel coronavirus from China that has interrupted global trade. This is according to a statement issued by GUTA and cited by Ghana Web on March 4th.
Cost of crude oil deepened with further drop in prices today. A barrel of crude oil sold for $50.84 a barrel. Here are the figures in commodity news. That'll be all for business tonight with me, Sandra S. Sinam Appen. With us more business news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime Time to bring you sports. My name is Hans Mensah, and we'll begin from the Ghana Premier League ahead of March Week 13. Head coach of Legon Cities FC, Goran Bajatovic, is back in his charges to grab all maximum points at home against the West African Football Academy.
Played 7 draws too. You know, that it means two best draw teams, you know, approach each other now, you know, and we will see, you know, if it will be the 8 or maybe, you know. Of course, I don't like to promise, you know, because, you know, to promise to beat somebody, I see it as arrogant, you know, because, you know, it's, this is football. Everybody can beat everyone and everybody prepares his match to win. And if I now promise to win, it would be a little bit, you know, like not okay, out of fair play, you know, from my perspective. But I can promise that those guys who are healthy, and we have for this match at Friday, they will do everything, you know, to win this match. I'm sure in it. And this is only thing what I can promise. If it will be enough, we will see, but I hope it will be enough. I hope really.
To women's football, and the first round of the Women's Premier League has come to an end after some scintillating performances on the league. Joy Sports' Susan Oswans are top
of round 1 of the 2019-2020 Women's League ended last weekend with the least goals recorded so far. 10 goals were scored across both zones. Azakes had the most with their 3-1 defeat against Halifax Ladies at the Tema Stadium. A goal from Malot Pokua set her goals tally to 10, joint top with Ampem Dakuen's Ophelia Sewa Amponsa. Doris Wedua was also on the score sheet to register her 9th goal. Immigration Ladies ended round 1 on a high by picking their first win on road by a lone goal against Sea Lions. Soccer Intellectuals snatched 3 points from Lady Strikers with their 2-0 win. Police Ladies had their fixture with Samaria Ladies rescheduled with 6 of their players on national assignment. Kumasi Sports Academy held Ampem Dakuwa to a 1-1 draw, with Prisons Ladies playing a goalless game against Northern Ladies. Fabulous Ladies defeated Supreme Ladies by 1-0. Here are some statistics from round 1 of the Women's League. In the Northern Zone, Ophelia Sewa Ampons and Lisa Chat with 10 goals. Malot Pokua also leads the Southern Zone with the same number of goals. Jafara Rahama of Northern Ladies picked up 3 MVP awards, the most by any player. In terms of team performances, Lady Strikers in the Southern Zone have conceded 20 goals, which is the most in the zone. Azakes Ladies, on the other hand, have scored 24 goals, the most in the Southern Zone. In the Northern Zone, Ampem Dakwa managed 22 goals, whereas Supreme Ladies conceded 23 goals. A total of 155 goals were scored in both zones. Northern produced 78, while Southern gave 77. The biggest home win thus far has been Hazakes Ladies, beating Lady Strikers 9-0 at the Esipon Stadium. The biggest away win has been Ampem Dakwa thrashing Supreme Ladies by 7-1. Prisons Ladies ended round 1 as Northern Zone leaders with 17 points as Hazakes gathered 15 in Southern Zone. Ghana Women's League Board Vice Chairperson Rosalind Amo is optimistic women's football can close the gap on men's game. She is impressed with the improvement women's football has made from the international setup where it is dominated by men.
A time would come, but we shouldn't expect it in the immediate future. It is going to be a gradual process, especially in Ghana, where we are now trying to consistently improve upon the fan base, the interest, the promotion, and the development. Already elsewhere in the world, I think it has caught up. If you look at the numbers during the last Women's World Cup hosted by France, I think that is possible because the attendances were huge, the support and fan base were encouraging and very impressive. The quality of play, I have no doubt, the performances of the players and the coaches, there was no questions about it at all. But when it comes to Ghana in particular, we should all understand that we are coming from a certain background. It has not been easy. It has been up and down, but slowly but steadily we are picking up. And I have no doubt that it may tarry, it may take a while, but yes, it is possible, and I have no doubt that we can bridge the gap.
She recalls some challenges the sports faced in its younger days and encouraged young ones to have confidence and believe in their dreams.
Parents understood that, look, the fact that their daughters were playing football doesn't mean that they were doing something bad. Unfortunately, when it started, it wasn't always a positive image because there was a certain perception that even girls who were playing football were overindulging in lesbianism and all that. So that was also a setback. But gradually and persistently, we try to give good reportage and very good positive image of female footballers. And that is how the ice was broken and people then allowed their daughters to the point that now even parents were encouraging their daughters as early as young as 6 years, 7 years, to register with clubs and to play in their school teams. So sports in our part of the world is still seen as a predominantly male activity. But internationally, the international organizations are making it possible for girls and young ladies to achieve their dream. What I'm saying is that chase your dream. Don't be bothered or hindered by what you see as the obstacles. It is like that in every other profession, be it medicine, be it, I mean, the only profession that probably you will say that ladies do not have it tough is in the teaching and nursing profession. But when you go to those ones that in the past were considered as a male-dominated profession, engineering, medicine, and all that. But the ladies are consistently proving ourselves. If that is where your passion lies, pursue it. Hold high your head and ensure that you achieve it with distinction. Prove to yourself and everybody else that you are capable, you are competent, you have what it takes to go in there. Don't let anybody intimidate you. Don't let the harsh words discourage you. Rather, let it be the building steps, the building blocks on which you rise to stardom to the very.
Right, that's it for sports. There is more on myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
All right, time for Join Us Interactive, and we're heading straight to our Facebook page and to get to read some of the comments that you have posted. And this one, government is working to make Accra clean, and that's the Sanitation Minister who was addressing Parliament. And here are some of the comments here. For Isaac says, I've always said this sanitation in Ghana and every part of the world is a legal issue. People must be punished to do the right things. It is a good source of revenue generation, but the government lacks the political will to do that. We should forget about sanitation fight if we can't do this. And we have, I'm just wondering if the sanitation minister's environment is even clean. Well, and let's move on, trying to get the rest of the comments to load. It's taking a bit of time. Otherwise, we could also move to the other post that we have to share with you tonight. Let's see this one. It's on the Cathedral, construction of the National Cathedral, which is taking off. Ruben, it has 164 comments, 28 shares. It was posted some 4 hours ago. Ruben says that is the seed. When he made those vows, did he tell God he will use state resources? And did he confide in Ghanaians that he has made those vows? He made those vows. If true, on his own volition, we should not allow people to do all manner of things in the name of God. Man Zach says, this, okay, I won't take that. Let's get to see some more of the comments. Meanwhile, we can just switch back and see if we have the comments for this one. Still loading. All right. But yeah, so these are some, unfortunately, the comments are not dropping, but these are some of the your comments on the stories we have here. Let me go back to this one and see if the comments are still not. All right, so let's get on to the next story, and the director will just pull that up for me so I can share with you. All right, so we have that on the screen now. All right, so let's scroll. So here we have it. So it is, Isaac says, so this is the sanitation minister, sorry. Isaac says, I always said, all right, so we did that. And then Roosevelt says, it is collective effort from all citizens. You can't do it alone, neither can the government. So let's move on. Bright says, why should a whole government create a ministry only to work to make Accra clean and still it's not working? Or Dishe says, the working is long overdue. Everyday government is working. Nana Smeni says, I'm a die-hard MPP supporter, but I don't. All right, Abanga says, in terms of sanitation, Joy News is doing far better than government. Well, thank you. We work with the AMA. Jonathan says, it's a responsibility of the Ghana government to make sure that the country is kept clean. Madam, this is no news. And Nana Kwame says, because they want to chop Ghana money, they will do anything to create ministry, anything that comes to their minds. And those are just some of your comments. You can get onto the page and read some more. My name is Israelai. Thank you very much for watching Joy News Prime. Have a good night.